Oh, come on, guys. We've practiced this a little bit. Good afternoon. Thank you. Oh, I like the energy in the front row. You guys win points. All right. So hopefully you are fully satiated and enjoyed the amazing food. This session is going to be on cybersecurity. And like our other learning sessions, I will be introducing someone to then introduce the speaker. So just follow along. I would like to thank BlackBerry, especially, for this session. They're our sponsor for this learning session. And we have a very exciting guest to introduce our next speaker, and that is Bob Dawson, whose fun fact is that he likes to ride bikes. You'll have to ask him what kind of bikes. He did not elaborate. He is the Senior Vice President from BlackBerry. Please welcome Bob Dawson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bob Dawson from BlackBerry. BlackBerry is honored to be sponsoring this session with Jamie Woodruff, known as Europe's top ethical hacker. BlackBerry provides the highest standard of security and believes that enterprises need to make it a priority. This is a trait that we share with our next speaker. Jamie entered the public eye when he successfully hacked Facebook as part of a student competition at Bangor University, where he was studying computer information systems. Jamie is writing a book on cyber intelligence and combating terrorism while pursuing his PhD in political science at Sheffield University. Woodruff talks about the importance of systems and network security and is known for disclosing worldwide exploits and vulnerabilities within leading security applications such as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple, and Google. Please join me in welcoming Jamie Woodruff.
Hey guys. So I'm going to tell you a bit about my story and how I got into cybersecurity and kind of my journey to where I am now, traveling around the world, teaching people about cybersecurity. So my name is Jamie Woodruff. I started hacking at the age of 9, finding exploits in world-leading applications around the world. And I'm autistic, dyslexic, dyspraxic, so I struggle with certain things, but computers has always come naturally to me. So I went to school like anybody else. I didn't really fit in at school. I got kicked out of school. I left with an A star in IT and failed everything else. Then I went to college. I got kicked out of college as well after 3 months. It's kind of a generic thing. And I ended up working in care with people with learning difficulties and learning about how they interact and how they are. So I did that for 3 years. Then I decided, look, I'm a hacker. That's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I built a bot that applied to all the universities overnight in the UK. And 4 universities was kind of prominent and kind of like said, yeah, come for an interview. So I went for an interview, and there was a guy there called Dr. Stephen Marriott, and he had this massive, huge whiteboard like you see in the movies, and just a tiny bit in the corner where he'd like write. And he said, okay, you start in 2 weeks. I was like, oh, okay. So I went to university, and again, about the 3 or 4 month mark, I didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't really my thing. I didn't want to be there at that time. So one of my friends said, before I left, come to a hackathon. So I went to the hackathon, and I found one of the guys stood on stage, and he said, the guy that actually does some proper hacking will win the certifications paid for. And these are like $20,000, $25,000. I could have never have afforded that at that time. So I found exploits in Facebook, Twitter, and Bloomberg in 6.5 minutes live on stage that allowed me to get my certifications paid for, and I got offered scholarships and all sorts of stuff. So I went back to university and started teaching cybersecurity and getting more involved, and then something I hated once the university became a thing that I enjoyed. So I was there for 2 years, and I took a year out because I just traveled all the way around the world. But when I went back to university, someone said to me, like, can you speak at a conference in London? So I'd never done any public speaking. I was like, well, I'll give it a try. It can't be too bad. So the Prime Minister of the UK sat to my right, and then the foreign guy sat to my left. And I'm stood on stage thinking, what am I doing with my life? What's happening? And it was about tech policy in the UK. Now, from that one event, someone tweeted me and said, can you go and speak in Monaco? Can you speak in Singapore? Can you speak in Hong Kong? So all of a sudden, overnight, I was traveling and speaking around the world. Now, what I want to talk to you about today is social engineering. So that's my speciality. That's what I really enjoy, is human emotion, manipulating individuals into doing things they wouldn't normally do. Not my professors or lecturers, but so this is Jamie Woodruff. I'm a certified penetration testing engineer and a CEA, so Cyber Essentials Assessor as well, which is part of GCHQ scheme in the UK. And I'm doing social engineering manipulation for information. So I want to talk to you about like the evolution of hacking, you know. So when I was growing up, it was all about, we was the Bankses of the cyber world, you know. So we would graffiti online. We wouldn't do anything malicious. We'd just leave our image and leave our imprint and then just move to the next person, not victim or target, person. And just do that, you know. And this is an example of like some people at the moment that are actually doing that. So we've all heard of Anonymous, you know. CNN love to do millions of news stories about the guys in the masks. And this is what they're leaving there. So they're doing the political kind of motivation on leaving their images. But I think it's important to kind of mention, you know, the corporate extortion side, you know. So it's not doing that anymore. We're going towards people installing ransomware. We've got whole entire office blocks that's designed to just hack, that's starting up around the world. So these employees pay their taxes, you know, they work, but their primary goal is to extract information from companies and sell that information online. You know, data's worth more than currency in a sense. So going through the corporate extortion, you've got hackers now that are installing ransomware on machines and providing the end user with live support so they can get their files back, yeah? They're providing them with a call center in India that they can call that will talk them through how to purchase Bitcoin to get them files back, right? So it's a completely different thing. It's a completely different image nowadays than, you know, I'm 23 years old now. So like when I was younger doing this, I was 14 and 50. So as I was saying, you know, the perception of a hacker. We all, who's seen Die Hard here? Put your hands up. See, I like interaction. Good guys. And part of Die Hard, you know, there's a guy on there called Warlock, yeah? You remember the guy that sat in his mum's basement and he's the only one with the lights on because he's got the generators going? And that's what you guys perceive as a hacker. There's some fat guy in a basement. To be fair, I was in the attic of my mum's house, so it's completely different. But that's the perception that we see, and that's the perception that people teach, is the fact that it's the fat guy, or me, a fat guy that's in the attic, you know, that's what we teach. But it could be you know, it could be this guy here, it could be that guy there, it could be that girl there, although she's a bit of a hacker, you know, but it could be her. And, you know, it could be that. So we need to understand that we shouldn't stereotype hackers, especially inside of our industry. We shouldn't stereotype individuals. So, as I mentioned first with the organized business cybercrime, you know, we're monitoring. I've been doing some stuff at the moment with the VP of Intel in the European quarter. And a lot of companies now are just starting up. They're taking up startup funds from UK governments or European governments and just primarily designing that to attack companies to steal and extract data. But this is the era that we're moving towards, and it's only going to get worse. So now, my passion. What is social engineering? For those who don't know, it's the art of manipulation for information, you know? So it's how I'm able to extract you or persuade you into doing something that you wouldn't normally do, but ethical, okay? It's an important word, that. A cyber attack that relies on minimal technological interventions. So I'm me, you know? So for instance, you know, I could turn up as FedEx, you know? That's one of my ways that I gain access, FedEx. Or Communitech, my name's Michael today. And it's also, all social engineering techniques are based on specific attributes of human decision making, you know, or cognitive biases. So it's, I mean, I'm going to touch on routine later down the presentation, but we all do the same bloody thing. We wake up in the morning, we drive to work at the same time on the same route. You know, if you look at the choices that we make as individuals in society, we're pretty guessable. And it's also known in bugs in the human hardware. So now I'm going to talk you through, you know, how does it happen? So this is my strategy and how I'm able to infiltrate some of the world's most securest companies. And I'll talk you through some of them that I've done later on in the presentation. So now I'm talking to this from an ethical manner, okay? From a white hat manner, okay? You also need to picture it from the black hat manner as well. So define your end goal or motivation. So from a black hat way, what does the hacker want to gain access to? What does he want to extract from that industry, yeah? But for me, what has the client asked me to do? Majority of the times, they're really cool, and you just say you can break into our building by any means necessary without causing physical damage or distress. So I can't hit the fire alarm, and I can't make people cry, but I can do pretty much everything else. So online reconnaissance. Now this is important. So later on in the presentation, unfortunately we couldn't get my laptop to hook up, but we can do it with you guys after. There's a way you can type in a specific thing into Google to open up CCTV cameras around you, public. So without breaking in or logging in, you can see cameras around you through geolocation. So online reconnaissance for me, I could sit in a coffee shop next to the building I'm watching, move the camera to the door and just watch how many people go in. So if there's loads more people entering the building, I know there's a conference on. So I say, hey, you know, I'm Timothy, I'm here for the conference. And also as well with the online reconnaissance side of things, we all post online. You know, we all tell people that we're here today. We always put on social media that we're not in the office. So it's easy for someone like me, if I'm exploiting your company, to know, okay, well, you're at the office. So easy, I'll just trick your employees into receiving a phone call from your phone and say, oh, he's just having a bit of trouble at the moment. He's asked me to get this from you. Then you'll just reveal the information. Profile physical and human targets. Now, this is what I really enjoy. I love it. You know, watching people, observing, you know, how they think, how they act. Each person's different, but follows the same routine or follows the same trends. So profiling the physical aspects of the human target would be just sat there, just watching, okay, did he look like they're wealthy? Did he look like they're a director or a senior manager? You know, I love the finance guys because it's almost like their ranking is in watches. So they've got their like Rolexes, they've got the Daytonas. So I know, okay, well, you work in sales, you know, you've got a hublet. Oh, probably a director, let's have a chat. Gathering information. Now, part of what I do is, yeah, it's in my head, but I also need to relay that to the client, you know, so I need to make them aware of exactly what steps that I've taken to gain access to their building. So gathering information about their target could be, so in the United Kingdom, we have this thing called Companies House. So I don't know the equivalent, I've been trying to find it for you guys, but when you register a company, it gets put online, okay? So I was doing a test for a company in the UK, and they're a large vending machine company. So they have vending machines all the way around Europe. They're worth about, excuse me, about 80 million now, profit. But what they did was a new scheme got set up in the UK a year ago, which states that you had to pay it into a pension. You know, you had to pay for your employees, and you had to pay either a percentage or whatever into a pension. So during my reconnaissance, they listed all their like vending machines, how much they purchased them for, how much they sold them to the client for as assets, and what the companies were that they sold it to and the clients. So if I was a third-party company that wanted to steal that, I could see it legally online through Companies House because he'd accidentally put that on there, and I could sell that data to a third-party company to undercut their prices and gain business, you know? So again, just looking up online, doing all your online reconnaissance, social media feeds, LinkedIn, websites, who is information, anything at all. Selecting attack vectors. So, you know, I could maybe climb through a window on the ground floor. I don't like going higher than that. It's quite scary, but if it's on the ground, I'll do it. You know, dumpster diving, I love that stuff. It sounds really bad, doesn't it? But when people, believe it or not, you know, they shred information, but they just leave it outside for collection. So after I've worked out a routine of when the paper people come to collect it, I can just take that and replace it with some gobbledygook and then walk away and just spend hours, and it's really therapeutic putting them all back together. And again, you know, selecting attack vectors could be I'm out for a cigarette with their employees, I'm talking to their employees, I'm interacting, but most importantly, I'm listening. You know, I'm listening to what they're saying. I'm acknowledging them, you know, I'm talking to them as a friend. I want to be their friend, I want to listen, I want to be there for them as a person, as an individual, as a friend, right? But by the time our conversation ends, what does he do? He holds the door for me. He says, okay, there you go. Thanks, no ID card, no nothing, you know, I'm then inside your building. But then we depart on good terms. I've walked around the building before with a name badge saying, I'm not supposed to be here, kick me out. No one's kicked me out. Just for fun. So overcome moral and ethical dilemmas. Now, excuse me, I'm just going to get a drink. I don't like flying. I have a bad chest after flying, so excuse me for that. To overcome moral and ethical dilemmas. Now, this is the most difficult one for me. You know, being autistic, it's slightly difficult because I treat everything as an object. Like, I treat the stage as an object, a person as an object, a scenery as an object. Everything is an object. Now, I have to understand the fine line between, you know, what's right and what's wrong. I can't, for instance, get a yardstick one at $40, break into the guy's house, steal his laptop, and take over his company. You could do it, but I wouldn't do that because, you know, it's not ethical. I couldn't date a CEO's daughter to extract information. And You know, again, that wouldn't be ethical. So we have to find the fine line between what is actually ethical and what we define as individuals as ethical, you know. And then we launch the attack. So we actually conduct the attack, and if it doesn't work, we repeat the process. We go back to the drawing board, you know. I've always been successful, touch wood or rubber, whatever, in my attack vectors. The only difficult ones that I've found are pharmaceutical companies. Them guys are on a whole different level of security. So I think we've covered some of the attack vectors, but we can just cover a bit more in here as well. So diversion theft. This has always worked, you know, it's wonderful. You've probably heard it before, but it's so bloody easy. So this guy sat down eating his coffee, and a lot of companies now around the world have been barcoding their devices. So like laptops, they have a little barcode at the top, and you know it's a business device. So I can't go after personal devices. That's not what's in scope. I'm not able to do that, you know, but people have business devices. So he sat there, he's drinking his coffee, and I love when you're on a train and they go to the bathroom, they just shut the screen slightly to say, well, no one's going to touch it. It's all good. I'll just leave it. Come on, get real. And then, so you'll just sit there and then, oh, sir, you forgot your change. The lady's been shouting you. Oh, no worries. Yeah, boom, USB in, USB out. There you go. You got a rat on his machine. Something as simple as that. Phishing, we've all heard of phishing and whaling and everything else, not the Chinese whaling, genuine whaling. So phishing, obviously we're aware of sending emails to individuals, trying to impersonate other people or invoices or pays or anything like that. We then open that to extract information to gain access. That bores me, so I don't really do phishing. I prefer the human side, the interaction side, maybe phoning up, calling, talking to them. It's much more easier. Tailgating, as I discussed, you know, out for a cigarette, you walk into the building, but a lot of companies have policies that say you must not do that, but they still do it anyway, you know. Wireless access points, so I'm going to kind of touch on this towards the end of the presentation. I'm not going to talk about it now. QR code generators, so we all know what QR codes are, yeah? I'd be sad at this conference if you didn't, but people still put their hands up, especially finance conferences. Can you tell I don't like the finance guys? So QR codes, yeah, I've done this before where I've gone to a conference and stuck QR codes all the way around and made it like really pretty and nice for people to scan, especially on vendors' stands when you slyly stick it down. And not being malicious, so again, ethical, I've had a JavaScript counter on stage, so every time someone scanned it, it's pinged my website, so I can see how many people have actually scanned it legally and ethically, because they're only visiting my site. And I've had in a conference of about 150, I've had about 65 people scan that QR code. Now, I've seen people in here with iPhone 4s, yeah? I've seen people in here that haven't got any, you know, antivirus systems on their machines, because you saw it popping up and you clicked allow, who enables macros on Word. Sorry. I've just been having a scout around as Communitech. It's all good. But, you know, and that's, so if I was you was to scan that QR code, and I could have infected your machines and your iPhone 4 with antivirus, you know, with any malware to take over your system or your device. Now, I wouldn't do that because I'm ethical. It's not in my generics to kind of do that. It's not in my genetics to do that, you know. But you've got guys out there that will do that. Phone spoofing, we'll kind of touch on that later on. Exploiting public information, we've kind of used that, you know, before about the vending machine company. Eavesdropping. Now, I love this, you know. Like, for instance, there was a guy that was sat with us this morning in my roundtable, and I used him as an example. He was talking about AWS servers and login, but I can listen. I've trained myself to listen up to 6 conversations at once. So it's easy. Could I just put my headphones in and just walk around, pretend I'm listening to music, and I'll just listen to everyone's conversations? And that, to me, is therapeutic. I love it. It's amazing. Especially when I was in an airport once, and there was a guy that was walking around, and he was just saying, you know, how crazy his company is. He was talking about assets and putting them offshore and all sorts of dodgy stuff. And I like blurred his face out and pixelated it and used him on my presentation. I put all the pictures on. I put his receipts on my presentation, just saying, look, I could have targeted him, you know. Badge surfing, so keeping badges after conferences, ID cards, and that side of thing to gain access. So what I'm going to talk about is layering an attack. So impersonation, you know, dressing up as FedEx, dressing up as Royal Mail, DPD, DHL. You can buy them all online for like $50, you know, it's so easy as that. Disgruntled employees, so you're going through a checkout, you know, Walmart, and the lady turns around and she's like, oh, they never have any carrier bags. She hates her job, man. You know, subliminally she said there. Did she say we? No, she said there. Hi, I'm Tim, nice to meet you. You know? But if she just said, sorry, she feels family orientated. She's probably high up in management. She's probably been there a long while. She likes that company. Just move on to your next victim. Target victim. I don't know them words, but. So this is a funny one. So I flew all the way to Sydney, and I have this thing where I need orange juice. And really, thanks to the guys here getting me orange juice, it calms me. I like it to try different orange juices. Anyway, so I got all the way to Sydney, and after going through customs, which was a ball ache, seriously, the conference get all my stuff off me all the time. I literally must have like a locker saying Jamie Woodruff, and it must just have like all my devices and gadgets in there. One day I'll get back. And yeah, so I got to the hotel, and I was really tired, and I just wanted to get on with my thing. So I went to find some orange juice. I couldn't find any. I went into the kitchen and stole a chef's uniform because it was hung up. So then I dressed up as a chef, and I served everybody at the conference tea and biscuits. And they didn't think that I was there, to do that. And they stood on stage, and it was like, sorry, Jamie Woodruff's not arrived yet. We're going to have to move on to a next speaker. I'm like, no, I've been here for about 5 hours, and the faces dropped. And every time they were like, oh, can you just do this? You guys are pains at conferences. The amount of stuff that you need and want is unreal. And so I just kind of used them as an example. Another one is I was speaking at Global Airport Development in Amsterdam, and I'm dressed up as a Virgin Atlantic cabin crew member. So I'm mingling with everybody at the conference about saying how great Virgin is and meeting some high-up executives in Virgin and stuff. And then I stood on stage, I'm like, hi, I'm the hacker. And again, This is an interesting one. So I broke into a financial institution as a pizza boy. Now, again, patterns and trends. So there was this company that paid for me to do a penetration test to gain access to their server room by any means necessary without causing physical damage or distress. I love them perimeters. So basically, I sat there, and I disbelieve someone can penetrate your company in 4 days or 5 days. It's stupid, Given the fact, I don't think you can do it. So I studied my target for 3 to 6 months at the time. I'd go in and I'd sit at the bottom of the building where the cafe was, and I'd watch everybody. 9 till 5, I'd sit there and I'd watch, and I'd just learn so much. But every Friday, this pizza boy would come, and nobody would care, and they'd buzz him in. He'd deliver pizza for about half an hour in the building and walk out. So I followed him back and applied to work at Domino's. And it was really easy, and I got good tips as well. And so basically, I went back the following Friday a few hours earlier, walked straight past security, straight through the door. That's what I needed, okay? But they paid for me to gain access to the server room. So I walked up to the server room, and it was one of them stupid doors, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C twist or whatever, them doors. So I sprayed it with a luminol, because I always carry a luminol, just as you do. I sprayed it with a luminol. I like to see if things are clean, all right? And I went and sat down, and you can't see it for those who don't know under the naked eye. You need a black light or a blue light to actually see it. So I went and sat down, chilled for a bit, went back. Someone had been in, and I saw the smudges of what keys were pressed. So it doesn't matter what code it is, then pins have got to be punched. So I punched the pins, twisted the handle, straight in the server room. Okay, I was undetected. No one detected me being there at all. Gained access to that, took pictures inside the server room, left, put a report together, and, unfortunately someone got fired, but that's not my fault, This was really funny. I like this one. This was a couple of weeks ago. I was at a hotel, Luton Hoo, and I thought, oh, I'll just do it again. I'll just get a staff uniform. So I rented this uniform off a staff member for 50 quid, and so that's like $90. And I served them again, all tea and biscuits, all day at the conference, right? I even got a disciplinary for wearing trainers. I don't even work there, and I got a disciplinary. But again, everyone was completely oblivious to the fact of what I was doing. But then at the end of it, I was like, okay, well, that's your PIN number. I watched you type it in. This is your car keys. Here's your watch back, and all this stuff. I didn't do the watch. I'm just joking. But all these things, and again, conferences I find are the most easiest ways. I'm surprised hackers yet haven't started attending conferences to steal your stuff. There's a MacBook left over there in the corner. There's 2 phones down there on the left, There's hardly any CCTV at this venue. And that's just from me walking around. So imagine if there was someone like me that was doing it maliciously that could then steal your data. I'm really surprised they haven't yet. Another one as well. Poor lady made me a cup of coffee. So this company is worth about 45, 50 million, and it's a fleet company that deal with fleet cars for large businesses. So the MD or the CEO guy turned around to me. He said, Jamie, we want you to break into our business again, the same perimeters, and we want you to extract our finance data only. That's all we want you to do. So again, I can't steal anything else. He said, we also want you to gain access to our safe and gain access to our server room. So I said, okay, it's a bit of a challenge, but I'll give it a try. And on the way out, so I'd gone around a few weeks earlier and pretended that I was wanting to buy some cars for my new business. But on the way out, I saw the alarm, you know, the alarm panels that you guys have inside your buildings. Well, on the outside. But what do we always have on that alarm? A sticker that says, if it's going off, ring this number. Or this is the people that carries out maintenance on your alarm, yeah? So I have Google Glass, and I blink twice to take pictures when I'm walking around a building. And then so I can memorize layouts and plans or go online and look at schematics. So I went back and I printed myself an ID card for UK Security Solutions. That's an old picture, but anyway. I then went back inside the building and said, hey, I'm here to service your alarm. She was like, you was only here last week. I was like, well, I'm back now to service it again. She was like, okay, no worries. And she made me a cup of tea and a biscuit while I was on her finance machine. So, and then I got into the server room again the same bloody way, and they had the key for the safe under the safe. So I like went into the safe and I was like holding money like this, and I was like, what has my life come to, you know? And again, I put that back, put the key back to where I found it, took pictures of how I discovered it, took pictures about the entire thing that I did, went back and gave a report, and then he trained his employees. And that's what I find, you know, a lot of companies do not train employees, you know? They're the first line of defense and the last line of defense. I'm gonna have a drink, excuse me. And then we're gonna talk about routine, something that I enjoy. So routine, you know, we do the same bloody thing every day, like I said. We wake up in the morning, we might drink orange juice, we might give our wife a kiss, we get in our vehicle and we drive the same route, roughly. You know, we get there at the same time, we talk to the same people, we sit down, do no work, and then wait for dinner. And then we repeat this process. So after 4 to 5 days of me watching you, I roughly know your schedule to where you're going to be down to in minutes, okay? But again, if you were the director and you was using business devices, or you're a high-up individual, or even just a normal individual inside the company with their devices, I've got access to that device under the scope. So I'm allowed to touch that device even if it's outside of work, but not in your home, not in your personal, if it's in a coffee shop, if it's in McDonald's or Starbucks. So the best thing I can teach you guys is don't do the same thing all the time. And if you are doing that and have to do that, be observant about your surroundings, you know? If you guys hadn't met me today, would you have perceived me as a threat? Truthfully, shout out. No. If you look to the person next to you, would you perceive him as a threat? No racial profiling or any profiling or anything, you know? And then what I wanted to leave this on as well, not leave it on, because I've got another, 15 slides. Safest method of communication is a carrier pigeon. You've least likely chance, well, maybe in Texas it might get shot down, but you've got least likely chance of it getting intercepted than your data has today. Your data goes from point A to point B, but look how many hops it goes through. You know, if we do a trace route on our machine, we can see at least 8 exchanges or hops that it goes through. So, now I'm going to teach you how to get any item under $10,000 free in 5 minutes for education and research purposes. Yeah, no startups after this. So, someone shout out an item. Go. Sorry, I always got to be specific. Electrical item. Headphones. Come on. iPad. So I'll teach you both ways. We'll do iPad. What iPad do you want? iPad free or? I'm joking. So this is what hackers are doing. They'll go to Walmart or an electrical store that sells laptops, like an iPad or anything. They'll pick up the device and they'll write the serial number down, then put it back on display. Now, there's 2 different ways to do an iPad, okay? So I'm going to teach you the way 1 that got patched and then way 2. So what the hacker will do is he'll go home and then he'll call the vendor direct. He'll call Apple direct and say, hey guys, my laptop or my iPad's not working. They'll say, have you tried turning it off and on again? Yeah, I've tried that, it's not working. Is it turned on at the wall? Yeah, it's turned on at the wall. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to keep a copy of your credit card or debit card on file. And if you don't return the item within 30 days, we're going to charge that card in full. That's fair, isn't it? Yep, fine. Then I'll go back to Walmart and buy a Visa debit for like $10, like a gift card Visa. Give them that, the code. They take $1 off pre-authorized. Keep that card on file for 30 days. However, they dispatch you an item straight out the day after. Yeah? But then Apple was like, nah, we are not doing that. We want to see your device in our warehouse right now. Okay, that's fine. So what did the hacker do? He went to his local plumbing store. He bought some dry ice, yeah? He put the dry ice inside the box that weighed exactly like an iPad would be in an iPad box. He wrapped that up with the dry ice inside and took it to deliver people's, like FedEx or Royal Mail that we have. They weighed the item, but it's actually dry ice that's inside, and it looks like the weight and everything's the same. So they stamp it. By the time it reaches the warehouse, it's turned into the gas, you know? So it looks like they've jacked the item out. So they'll give them a brand new item. Seriously. But what I want to say from that, you know, every time we fix one, there's always a way around it. You know, hackers are always improving. Someone that I know has been arrested now, which I'm not surprised. He wrote a letter, registered a fake company, made himself look like a really legit CEO and got a Rolex Daytona for 25 grand in 4 days. Just by saying, I'm late to a meeting, I need this watch, it stopped working. You're putting pressure on that individual. Sometimes when you're making calls for the warranty, you can put a baby crying in the background on YouTube. And then the person feels compassion, feels compelled to want to help you. Stupid things like that. You know, when I've done test calls for companies, when I'm educating their staff, I've had my partner downstairs shout, hey, the kids need feeding, da-da-da, just shouting up. I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, my child needs feeding now. Oh, no worries, we'll give you your iPad. Okay, thanks. So I want to quickly talk about the dark web. You know, I think it's interesting. Who's here heard about the dark web? Like 4 people? I'm joking. So what I think the important thing to mention this is, and it goes along the lines of Bitcoin, you know, hackers now can go online and they can buy guns, they can buy drugs, you know, they can pay with Bitcoin that's anonymized. I can't say the word, you know what I'm saying. And they can't trace from where it's originating from in a sense. But I mean, just as this is an example, this is from the hidden wiki. You know, you've got Bitcoins for cash here. You've got bit laundry, so you can launder or wash your Bitcoins. You've got contract killer for hire, you know. But the thing is, these have a rate system that people actually rate for using their services. And the contract killer has a pretty high feedback rate. I haven't been looking, not for Wendy, honestly. Wendy's my super cool agent here. Anyway, so from there you've got like cheap swatting service, you know. We've heard of swatting. Hackers are bored, they'll do nothing, you know. So what they'll do is they'll watch some guy on Twitch. They'll find his address out, call up the FBI or the police and say he's got a bomb. They'll turn up at the house with a full SWAT gear. They'll watch him live on webcam, get pushed to the floor. Because they want, you know, because it's fun. That's what they think. That's like your company and your data. It's fun to them to do it, you know. You've got pirate web DDoS, distributed denial of service attack. You've got terabytes now getting bashed against web servers. You've got stuff getting knocked offline. But this is all accessible to anyone that downloads Tor. Now, I thought this is interesting. I'm going to move on to the presentation slightly later to talk about how hackers are taking over baby monitors and watching newborn babies sleep, taking pictures, and then getting their mums and dads to pay money as extortion. Again, that's how we're going. But that's an IoT device. But that's something cheap and something nasty that we've purchased online, you know? Something that's not regulated, something that we bought from China or other countries, I'm not being specific, but China does produce everything. And you know, the default username and passwords for every single device that was ever created is the same. So the 750 vulnerable devices, 750,000 vulnerable devices that are out there with the same credentials. How many people in here, truthfully, put your hands up, have changed your default credentials for your CCTV camera system? How many people haven't, truthfully? Good lads, don't put your hands up. I can see you nodding. You know? How many people here uses the same PIN for their bank? Yeah. 1452. Little square. But we do it. We do it because it's easy, you know? We do it because we don't understand the implications or the dangers of it, you know? Watching one person type their phone PIN in could lead to them knowing your bank PIN. Because as a society, we do that. We don't want to remember numbers. You know, if you're like me, I like remembering numbers. But if you're not, then, you know, you don't want to do it. But our entire house, like in my house, I've got Alexa. And Alexa's wonderful. You know, I'm very lazy and she does everything. As soon as I open the door, she puts the kettle on to make me a coffee. You know, stupid stuff like that you don't need. But she does it. She controls my lights. I've got a cinema in my house. She controls that. She controls the sound. Yeah? And I love her. She's wonderful to have. And a lot of people do. But imagine if I use the same password for my Amazon account as something else. Then someone got access to that, logged into Alexa, and started remotely uploading stuff to Alexa. You know, theoretically, it's possible. She started installing skills for her to learn new things, like listening to people, you know, listening to the conversations. we're quite aware it occurred, you know. If you look at Weeping Angel, the CIA, really cool guys were working with GCHQ. And what they were doing is intercepting TVs for individuals from maybe that was committing crime. So this type of attack relied on the fact that you needed the physical device. You couldn't actually turn up at the house to do it. They was installing malware on these devices, and what I actually thought was really funny is Samsung's press release was like, hey, don't talk about anything confidential in front of your telly till we can confirm this. All right. So, I want to also talk to you about who's heard of Shodan? One person. You're a hacker. So Shodan's a way that's like vulnerable devices get published online. So if you guys go on Shodan now and type your company names in, you might find some outdated SSL certificates, you might find some outdated infrastructure that's still running. But hackers, this is brilliant. You know, it's a free search engine where you can find vulnerable stuff that still use default stuff. You know, you can go on there and find thermostats. So hackers will just defrost your freezer because they're bored, you know? Or you can go on there and find the FOSS cams, the baby monitors. Like, you know, you can see them running on the internal networks. You can see it in the host list. Google Dorks, like I was talking to you, you can go on to ExploitDB, which is a website, you know. When you type in specific things into Google, you can see specific stuff. That's common occurrence, you know. Now, what you can type in is in URL, view.shtml will show you open CCTV cameras around you, you know. Or typing in viewing bank files, you can see stuff that's been cached from banks on Google. You can see stuff that your guys, like from conferences, a lot of people upload delegates lists to a hidden part of the website. But the hidden part of the website is still known via Google because it'll index it. So you can type in a specific thing to see delegate lists, you know. So as we were saying, as you can see, look, baby monitor, you know, FOSS cam. So all they would do is, the hackers would do is sniff the network, find a vulnerable device, call up the mum and dad and say, look, I've got pictures of your baby sleeping. They'll pay them $500, $1,000. You know, and this is what hackers will do. They'll just sit there and just, because they're bored, they'll just do stupid stuff like this. So who wants to volunteer? Seriously, who's got a business card here? Come on, play fair. I've been fair. I've been polite. Someone got a business card? It's very bright, that, isn't it? Someone else give me a business card. Athletics. Anyone else? Good man. Pass the parcel, please. Right, can you talk amongst yourself for 30 seconds, because I don't like silence. Oh, wow, thank you. This is not a marketing strategy, by the way. Okay, seriously talk, please. I don't like silence. Okay, guys. That wasn't me, right? Carlos. Where's the Carlos guy? This guy? Back there, okay. Put your phone out, Carlos. N. Carlos Pinto, yeah, is that right? Why did you spoil it, Carlos? Okay, we'll move on to Chris then. Hi, Chris. Nice to meet you. Keep talking. Chris Craig, what's your cell number? I heard a baby crying. Someone shout the cell number, go. Please. Shout the cell number, anybody? Go. 226 203. Notice how I didn't say them last 4 digits. Okay, someone else shout their number out? Whoa. What? 519 301? 2287, okay. Right, so basically, you know, I'm just going to stress this is really funny, but this is a free application you can get from the App Store. It's not really. But rerouting your call. There we go. So if you just hold your phones, whoever gave me the first number and whoever gave me the last number, hold the phones. Someone's phone's ringing now. What number is it? Shout it out. 519-301-2287. Is that right? Answer it. Oh, hey, yeah, I'm just, someone's been ill at the conference. Who's this, sorry? Oh, he's told me to ring this number. The emergency services are coming now. Can you just leave the house and come here, please? Bam, free stuff. You know? And that is easily done. But if I call your number from your own number, you can listen to your voicemails. How many people here has a voicemail pin? And don't troll me, seriously. Again, next to nobody, like 4 people. And I bet you them people work for the DOD. So, but yeah, you know, that's how easy it is to do. So now I want to talk to you about this pineapple. I like my pineapple. Where is my pineapple? Sure, I had a black device. Is it behind stage? Can someone just check for me, please? So anyway, with this device, it forces communication to connect to it. So laptops, cell phones, okay? This device is behind the stage. I think it's in my little hack booklet thing. I haven't plugged it in because I don't find it ethical to use. Now, with this device is your phones and your laptops are always looking for known networks. You know, when you leave the house, it's looking for Starbucks. It's looking for your office. It's looking for your, cheers, thanks, super awesome Wendy. It's looking for your, you know, every known network you've connected to. Now, you can buy this online for about $100. And, you know, there's certain types of exploits where you can drop payloads onto machines. So like Apple, for instance, the older machines, a lot of people don't update the software on it. So I'm talking like a couple of years old. You can disable the light on the webcam and watch someone through the webcam. You know, you can replace SSL certificates and do SSL strips with it. You can do loads of crazy stuff. And all it is look like a little router. It's called a pineapple. So if I was to put this on now, even if you're connected to a network, what you can do is create a denial of service against that against that router, right? Forcing it to drop packets, forcing it to drop you guys, but then you'll connect to the next available strong signal. So if I set antennas up, I can then piggyback and jump you onto here as well. And you can have up to, I think it's about 220 devices without lagging on here, you know? So, cool. I've got some other cool devices, but I can't talk about them. We can discuss them after. So what I want to say is, I'll just skip this one, because it is all doom and gloom. Oh, I know what the blank button does now. I got told off for not pressing it. So it's not all doom and gloom, yeah? Training your employees, making yourself aware, making yourself educated. That's the most important thing that I can teach you guys, okay? Your employees, whether they're low down, whether they're high up, you know, they are the first line of defense. They are the last line of defense. You can buy all the firewalls in the world. You can buy all the hardware in the world. You can say, yeah, I'm awesome, I'm super cool, I've got all this stuff. Nobody cares. It's your employees that are important. You know, look at the Windows firewall. So if you was to say this is the Windows firewall, no offense if Microsoft are here, I just like Apple. I'm sorry. But, and, you know, because I don't get viruses. Anyway, so Windows firewall, you know, you have your firewall and everything else. But they're your employees, the hedges. So we'll just walk through the hedges, you know? And that's essentially what it is. Another really important thing is personal security. Yeah? 1452, personal security. Okay? Now, with the personal security side of things, we give our children iPads. We give our children laptops. Do you agree? Put your hands up. How many people here put their hands up, okay, leave them up, have left the default pin as 111111 for them, or 123456? Okay, a few people, right? Now, we do that because it's easy and simplistic, but we don't teach them about cybersecurity. We don't teach our children, we don't teach our home life about cybersecurity. Because CNN and Fox and everybody's painting us with the masks on the stage as being digital bandits. But we're not actually like that, you know? So teach your children cybersecurity. Teach them about, online bullying. Teach them about online different things that could occur, buying stuff through the App Store. Just teach cybersecurity. Because when you go to your business life and when you go to your work, if you start implementing it at home, it becomes second nature, It becomes one of them things that you have to do. So if I could leave that on with you, is just, please understand you need police to protect your physical security. You need people like me to protect your online security. Yeah? So I'm the cyber safety advisor for the CyberSmile Foundation. I'm also the technical director of Metrics Cloud, a lead consultant for Accenture. That's my Twitter, Jamie_Geek. I like people tweeting me. Don't tweet me abuse. I get sad. So tweet nice things. And that's my company, Metrics Cloud's Twitter. So thank you guys for having me here. If you've got any questions, feel free to put your hands up and fire them out. If not, great. I can drink some orange. Thank you.
So I have to admit that backstage, I was confused as why a Communitech employee was going up.
I was shooting you with a
Yeah,
laser as well.
I know. You were such a weirdo in the back. That was amazing.
Whoa. Whoa. I
So-
prefer the term different.
Different.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one. It'll be good. So there's a lot of questions coming through. Evidently, you scared the crap out of everyone in this room,
Good.
myself included. So what are the things that small businesses can be doing to protect their data?
I think I made that clear, It's the employee side.
Yeah, but outside of having employees,
Huh?
I'm not sure that having your employees looking for guys like you, which, by the way, I think your face is going to be on posters all over the place at this point.
As long as it's not bus shelters, it's good.
It's not what?
Bus shelters. They have this thing somewhere. So, to protect their data is to look at exactly what they're protecting, So go right back to the drawing board. See exactly what it is you protect. Maybe it's an asset. Maybe it's a virtual asset. Maybe it's some kind of proprietary software. Then look around that to design it. So don't allow USB pens into, your workplace, and do everything via encryption. So it's looking at them steps from an early being, and then obviously as we grow and as your company expands, you can then start adding an internal IT team that develops cybersecurity for your business.
So a lot of the companies in this room are using things like Dropbox, Google Drive, things like that.
Yeah, so I use a Boxcrypt. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but it encrypts my entire Google Drive. It looks like I've got ransomware in my Google Drive. And what this does is any type of online cloud system that you use to store data, you can completely encrypt it. You can use two-factor, three-factor authentication in the cloud.
So there are other sort of cheap or free.
Yeah, that is free.
So, but what other things should people be thinking about? And what about personal data? Things like online banking, things like that. What should we be asking our
Don't
questions?
use the same PIN as your app for your PIN. Or even add an extra 1 as a digit afterwards because you need to. So it's just about understanding exactly what it is that you need to secure. That's the most important thing in there. When we say cybersecurity, it's like you've got doctors, you've got neurologists, dermatologists. There's so much different angles of it, and it's the same with cyber. So in your personal life, understand exactly what it is that you want to achieve, and just don't buy everything. Because you might only need a few things.
So I'm going to start a business with carrier pigeons, I think, at this point.
That's good.
Yeah. If anyone has questions, we actually have mic runners for this session. Just put your hand up and someone will come towards you. There's a hand up over here. Mic runners, anyone? You can yell, I'll repeat it.
What do you think of password managers? And do you trust password managers like LastPass? Because that enforces that you need passwords across sites, but now your master data is somewhere else, and do you trust the whole mechanism they use?
Do you know what? I love LastPass, as you can see. All my passwords are on LastPass. I do trust them, but with that, I use two-factor and three-factor with them, so it depends. A lot of people they'll set a password that they've previously used to keep them safe with all their other passwords. But I trust it. LastPass did get compromised. It did get breached, but it was the website. It was the web server that got compromised. But again, media make it out like it was a software. But as far as I'm aware, I love the service. I've used it for about 2.5 years now. So.
Any other questions? Yep.
So if a breach is inevitable, What do you do to ensure that you can recover safely?
I mean, I've actually had people that back up, inside of their infrastructure, not external, and their buildings burnt down. So I've actually had that before. I mean, just look at the data, look at how much information that you're actually receiving and how much you're sending, and then look at the cloud. I love multi-cloud. That's a new thing that I've been involved with at the moment with Rackspace in the UK. And if you look at an example as a credit card, you can put the 16 digits in one. You can put the CVV in one. If that gets compromised, it's useless data, You need everything to complete that out. But I mean, if it is inevitable, like you said, and I feel that it is, I guarantee that all businesses in the next 5 years will suffer from some sort of breach. Every business, And it's about looking after our data. Store it offsite, Store it somewhere that do secure storage. Store it internally as well. So have it internally where only one person could access that. Maybe your data storage manager. So.
A follow-on, if I may. So I have a habit of getting paper records from all of my financial services to ensure that when I get hacked or my identity gets stolen, I actually have records. Is that a prudent thing, or is that just a waste of trees?
No, I mean, it's up to your own well-being. If you feel comfortable by doing that, just look at how that paper is stored. Look at where it's actually stored inside. Do you just leave it in a filing cabinet? No? Well, a lot of people do, and if you lift them up, you can take the pin out the bottom and pull the lock out. But again, we don't think of that, So it's about just looking at your data and looking how you would store that data at a cheaply and effective solution. But I mean, sometimes that's not always the best, depending on what that data is.
We have time for one last question.
I'm blind.
Yeah, you're going to have to wave really aggressively. All right.
He's very aggressive, isn't he?
Thanks. In your opinion, Edward Snowden, hero or traitor?
I can't comment on that, sorry.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Jamie Woodruff, everyone. So we have to thank BlackBerry for terrifying us with this session. I think everyone will...
Thanks to BlackBerry as well.
I'd like to invite everyone to take advantage of this next break. You guys are really the center of this conference. This is an opportunity to meet some exceptional innovators from other companies, both corporate and small. We will be coming back here at 3 p.m. You are not going to want to miss this next session. It is Mr. Moneyball himself. I will see you back at 3 p.m.